The COB is brought to you by Pepperstone, trusted by traders in over 160 countries. From Barangaroo Studios, here's what you need to know about the day in business and finance.
Hello, welcome to the COB. An absolute pleasure to be here with you. I'm Nadine Blaney. And what a day it's been, hasn't it? If you've been watching the markets today, really going from strength to strength. Look, commodities are really part of the story, but up by 0.7%. So when we think about, what the drivers are, you need to look to some of those really heavily weighted market cap companies. So BHP is up by about 2%. Rio is up by close to 3%, 2.76 to be exact. We had some stimulus coming in terms of property in China. And that's had the desired effect with Fortescue up by 0.8% as well. Gold, though, the gold price hitting record highs. Copper price as well. So the gold miners are very strong. And so we'll see if we can hold on to those gains for the S&P ASX 200. So we've got those records being kissed in the commodity space. Now, clearly there is some consternation about what will happen in Iran with the downing of that helicopter. It was and is being called an accident. The president, as well as the foreign minister, were killed in that crash. So a bit of instability, right? What will fill the power vacuum there that exists now? So we'll be watching that with much interest, but did say that it gave a boost to some of these metals as well. Now, rising star, that can only be talking about Star Entertainment Group. Shares were put in a trading halt as the company responded to media reports that an offer had been made by Hard Rock, no less, the owner of the Mirage in Las Vegas. Apparently, according to reports in the AFR, it would be looking to split out the property and the casino assets of that business, although no indication that a deal is close to being done. So let's detail that, shall we? The miners, BHP, as I mentioned, Rio Tinto actually had a broker downgrade on valuation today from Citi. Share price target kept at, I think it was $170, but clearly not slowing it down today. Fortescue as well, doing really well, and South 32. South 32 also had a bit of an announcement out today. Let me see if I can dig that up because it was talking about, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now. You'll just have to take my word for it. Energy. So again, price of oil, we're watching this immediate impact from that unfolding situation in Iran and how that will impact across the Middle East. So Santos is up by 2.25%, Woodside up by 2%, and then you get to Paladin, which is getting a big boost there in the uranium space. Boss Energy up by 2.6% as well, and Karoon up by 3.5%. The A-REITs, so these interest rate sensitive stocks coming under a bit of pressure. You can see their Charter Hall pretty flat overall, but as a sector, the A-REITs are off by about 0.5%. So Star Entertainment confirming it has received takeover offers from third parties, Hard Rock Hotels and Casinos, which is a Florida-based entertainment giant. Shares coming back online up by 16.5%. Meantime, PointsBet, it's up by close to 10%. It's upgraded its earnings guidance for FY24, now expecting a loss of between $4 to $6 million. Shares are doing well off the back of that. And Nuix as well, it's upgraded its outlook after a pretty positive 6 months. So it's looking to exceed its revenue growth targets. Meantime, this was Friday after market close. Michael Hill, the jeweler, warned that sales at its branded stores had dropped compared to last year. Shares are off by pretty punchy 20%. Citi downgraded Michael Hill off the back of that. And Elders, our stock of the day, cut its half-yearly dividend by 22% off the back, excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat, of sliding profits. That was the stock of the day today. Let's hear from Gaurav Sodhi from The Intelligent Investor and Nathan Somasundaram from Deep Data Analytics.
A buyer. We've been a buyer since the pullback. We've got clients into it, and we got around $6 thanks for the pullback, and we are staying long. I think the cycle for that still remains quite positive, and what we're hearing from all our farming clients are pretty positive, so I don't see any negative.
If there's a time to look at elders, it's probably now. I haven't done the work on it, I must say. We don't have anyone working on it, but it might change. I think it might be time to put someone on elders and then take a look at it. But look, there's probably more interesting things to look at for me. I mean, I've always thought elders needs a 6 in front of it to get my interest, and it does get down there occasionally. Not there quite yet.
Yeah, so Gaurav said that he was interested in elders, but he just wouldn't put a buy on it yet, or at least not today. Okay, let's get to a bit of market analysis, shall we? Welcome to the COB, Josh Gilbert from eToro. Hey Josh, how are you? We've got this local market, punching higher today, not too far off of its all-time high. It's actually crossed that barrier, hasn't it? 7,864. Josh, what do you make of it?
Yeah, hi, Nadine. Yeah, a good day, I think. We're following on, obviously, from what was a good week in markets very broadly last week. Obviously, really spurred on by that sort of US inflation data that sort of came in under expectations as well. And really being helped today, I think, overall by the materials sector. Obviously, a lot of all-time highs for across the board in the commodity sector, copper and gold reaching sort of new highs today, and BHP ever sort of since last week has been on a tear as well. And when we've got a name like BHP moving higher, it's certainly going to help to, take that index back towards sort of record highs. So yeah, a great start to the week, and I think a lot of positives to take, especially from sort of what we're getting from the commodity space. That's always going to be good news for our market.
Yeah, okay, so not quite at those lifetime highs. Apologies for that, but we'll see what happens as the last of the day's trades roll through. So this is it's a big week, isn't it? Not just because of the fact that we've been on this tear, bulls very much in charge on Wall Street as well, but also because we've got NVIDIA coming, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Look, I mean, US earnings season so far, I think it's been pretty good. I think it's certainly been good enough to sort of take stocks back to sort of record highs. Obviously, especially in conjunction with that obviously inflation data and the expectations that we will probably get a couple of cuts from the Fed over sort of the next 6 to 9 months. But yeah, the highlight is still to come, and that's NVIDIA. Really going to be the one that the market's obviously keeping a good eye on. A general gauge of what is AI demand. They've shown consistently why they are sort of branded as magnificent, continue to sort of lead performance, from those 7 stocks as well, beats and raises across the board. And to be honest, I would expect the same this time around. I would expect to see another beat and another raise. If we just have a look at sort of the broadness that we're seeing in demand for AI, I think a really, nice, move into this sort of report this week was Microsoft's results. And reading through their sort of commentary, and their CFO had said that they couldn't meet demand for AI, and they were essentially increasing their capital expenditure to spend more in areas, and essentially that's going to be going straight to NVIDIA. So not only are we seeing that from arguably one of NVIDIA's largest customers, we're just sort of getting it across the board. And obviously OpenAI continuing to sort of put together partnerships with the likes of potentially Apple in recent weeks, Reddit just recently as well. So the demand, I think, is going to sort of really continue to be there. I think the biggest thing for me, though, from NVIDIA's results, I think is really going to be commentary around if these manufacturing partners can sort of keep up. That's been a worry, I think, for analysts in recent weeks. Essentially, I was reading last week that we may even see TSMC actually already basically kitted out for all of next year. They're booked out for the whole of next year. So, NVIDIA can keep delivering, but if ultimately their manufacturers partners can't keep up, then that is going to be somewhere that we might see some weakness. So that would be what I'll be watching this week.
Okay, yeah, all right. And we do have a lot of Fed speakers out as well, because it's still all about rates, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, especially after we sort of came off that week last week with that better than expected inflation data. And I also think, what we sort of heard from, in recent weeks from Fed speakers, I think is, that continue to be that wait and see mentality, the patience, if you like, from the Fed. And I think that's what we've sort of got. But I think, really we're seeing investors price in a cut by September. But, speakers this week could, sort of push the brakes back on that. They could push back on that, and I think that's something that we've really got to think about. Rate cut expectations continue to sort of really be an important driver of markets. So given that we have a slew of speakers coming through this week, I really think that could be a bit of a tipping point for markets either way, especially if we get weak numbers from, say, Nvidia and we have a pushback in rate cut expectations. Then I think that does have the ability to drive markets this week.
Yeah, okay. And if you are thinking about any data or anything that we really need to take note of here locally, I mean, today was quite quiet actually around the place.
Yeah, I mean, we've got FOMC minutes. Obviously, in the US, we also have RBA minutes coming up. We've also got some consumer confidence data. So it's not huge on the macro front here at the moment. So sort of pretty light. But again, those RBA minutes are going to give us a good insight, especially after there was lots of conversation over whether we might have a hike from the RBA, or even if they discussed it. Let's see how that commentary played out. See if there was any hint of a potential for a hike, or if there was any commentary on whether it may be something they need to review over the next sort of couple of months. I think that will be really important. Whether we get much out of those minutes in the US or here will be sort of interesting to see. I think the Fed speakers are probably going to sort of drive it, and consumer confidence again is probably another big one to sort of really get a handle on how that consumer is generally feeling, especially now over the last sort of month or so. I think we're sort of getting to grips with this idea that we're probably not going to see a cut from the RBA until at least the Q1 of next year, and I think that's probably the best expectation at this point. So I definitely think we'll see a change in maybe consumer sentiment, and that will be sort of seen at the start of this week. So yeah, look, I think Nvidia will drive markets. We also have Xero's full year results as well, so a nice little reading on sort of local tech. So I think a bit more stock heavy this week rather than macro.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll look forward to it. Thank you so much, Josh. Nice to chat today.
Thanks, Nadine. Same to you. Have a great week.
Yeah, you too. So, market leaders today. We had Star Entertainment once it came back online. Bellevue Gold with that price of gold hitting that record high. Paladin, so again, just strength coming through in some of these resources companies. Regis Resources and New Hope. So that's coal, as you know, but it also had a quarterly out, which the read-through was pretty strong. In fact, I spoke with Gaurav Sodhi from Intelligent Investor about that one on the call. We had started talking about Terracom in response to a viewer question, but he pivoted to New Hope. He said that's the one you want to own in the space. I won't give it all away because you can go to our website, ausbiz.com.au, and you can search up the call from today. And you can hear what they had to say about, plenty in the resources space, Aris Resources as well. It was a really interesting program. Great chats going on with him and Mathan. So looking, you might want to go check that one out. On the flip side, there were some laggards. Sayona Mining, that came up in the call as well. Chalice Mining, Core Lithium down by 3%. Cochlear, I wonder if Cochlear was trading ex-dividend today, and Levisa down by 2%. So when we think about some of the smaller end of the market, I just interviewed the CEO of Global Data, up by 20% today. We'll get that interview up online ASAP. Really interesting story. His name's David Yulee. So look for that one. And I know that Seneca Financial Solutions and their small cap fund, I think that's one of their biggest holdings, just an FYI. Silver Mines, it's a story about the miners today, isn't it? The materials space was the best performing sector overall. Flip side to that equation, Michael Hill with that broker downgrade coming through off that sales update, and Omni Bridgeway down by close to 10%, as well as BetMakers off by 8%. So as far as the event outlook, we've got the FOMC chair Jerome Powell delivering a commencement speech. So I don't think there'll be much in monetary policy, but it might be interesting to hear his views. And we've got the FOMC's Bostic and Barr and Waller all speaking at different events. We get Eurozone. Actually, we got the Eurozone inflation to look forward to. We have the RBNZ to look forward to on Wednesday. So there is quite a lot that we are still keeping an eye out for this week. Tomorrow, we get those minutes, as Josh Gilbert from eToro was just detailing. And we get a few earnings coming through as well. Technology One is that company that reports out of cycle. That's right. Boy, we're already at that time of the month. And ex-dividend, we've got Amcor. All right. We've got a great lineup of guests coming up for you tomorrow as well. So we do hope that you can join us for the live stream. Final little check on this market to see how it finished. The COB Australia Index closed up by 0.75%. The S&P ASX 200 closed up by 0.6% at 7,863. Look, it's been a good day here. There's plenty of interviews that you may have missed that you'd want to get across. They're up online or soon will be, ausbiz.com.au. We'll see you tomorrow. We're live from 9:45.
The COB is brought to you by Pepperstone, trusted by traders in over 160 countries.
Gil.
Oh, hey, Ken.
Here we go.
You still trading?
Pepperstone. Trusted in over 160 countries. You?
Well, I'm still with...
I don't think anyone trusts them.
No, I'm fine with it. Just like I'm fine with my trusty coach. 1980s John McEnroe.
Pathetic! Horrible! 1980s, huh? So, really temperamental?
Keeps me on my toes.
Awful! It's a bit intense. Be better!
Still fine with it.
Use your racket! He's just staring at us.
Yeah, sometimes he yells and then sometimes he just stares.
Is he aiming for your face, Gil? He's fine with it! Yeah, he's definitely trying to hit you.
Fine with it.
Don't be fine with it. Switch to Pepperstone, trusted by traders in over 160 countries.
Come on, you cannot be serious!
Don't do that.
Ow.